So you've bought your first piece of art, or perhaps you're adding to your collection. We want to make sure you're displaying it and caring for it in the proper way. I'm Kelsey Hubbard, and I'm here with Andrea Cashman from the Andrea Rosen Gallery in New York. And a lot of people might not think about, well, the sun's streaming in, or I have it in a certain humidity in my house, and these things are really important when you're dealing with artwork. So what should people know in terms of displaying and taking care of their pieces of art?
The first thing to know is that, most artists will have also thought of that too. And so, if there are any sort of conservation issues or special attention that needs to be paid to the work, the gallery will already be well versed in that, but generally the artist is making choices that will ensure the preservation of work over time. In terms of framing, very often an artist will have a specific frame in mind because it's essentially part of the work, and the proportions and the color, the width, everything like that is an important decision made by the artist. So generally, very often you won't actually have to make that choice yourself.
It'll come framed.
Exactly.
So it goes with the piece as the artist intended.
Exactly. The gallery will always be happy to recommend a framer and suggest to you, should it be framed under UV plexi, is that necessary, so that the sun doesn't damage the work. And that's always a good question to ask and to feel comfortable asking.
Now, I'm sure people buy a piece of artwork, let's say this, for example, has blue in it, and they want to then design a room around a certain piece of art that they buy. But what if they're adding to a room already? I mean, does that come into play? Do people ask you questions about that? Say, I already have this type of decor in my home, in the room that I plan to display this piece of art, and does that come into play? Should people consider that?
I think it certainly does come into play. I can't say that it's my favorite approach to collecting. My favorite collectors are those who see a piece of art, love it, and figure out a place to put it. It may not mean that it sort of matches the sofa, but it's certainly something we can always talk about. And sometimes someone will say, I need a painting in this size. My client really loves thick oil impasto. Do you have anything that they might like? And that may be something that we can find them, certainly. But my favorite approach to collecting is those people who, as I said, collect what they love, fall in love with it, and usually find a place to make it fit.
So should people be taking into consideration the size of their space that they're going to display the art in, as well as how they display it?
I think certainly, especially in New York, it's a concern for all of us, and we'd all love to have more wall space, so to speak. So it's definitely something to take into consideration, particularly for someone who actually wants to live with their work. There are some people that have an issue with space, and they may have a storage space and rotate the artwork in and out of their home. Otherwise, it is a situation in which I've had to hoist a painting through a window in New York. I mean, there's certainly those kind of things where someone falls in love with something. It's hard to get into the home, but we try our best to find a way to make it happen.